This data pack is not possible. Neither is this one, or this one, or this one. Until now. You see, each one of these data packs share something in common. It is detecting when you close and open inventories. You would think there'd be a simple way to do this in Minecraft, but no. They don't love us enough to give us that. But don't you worry, because I got you. And because I'm sharing the love, if you could as well, that would be great. Wink wink. So the question is, how does it work? Well, I've been leaving a few teasers on my YouTube shorts, and it's finally time to tell you how it's done. The thing is, I said I would make this if I got 100 likes on my short, but you guys have far surpassed that. So now it's time to tell you, and don't worry, I'll break it down pretty simply. The first teaser I gave, I said that there was a bug report given where an advancement would get triggered twice. You see, advancements are like little quests that point you in the right direction, pointing you how and where to go next. The basic ones start off telling you that you need to mine stone and to upgrade your pickaxe. It goes from that all the way to entering the end and finally killing the Ender Dragon and even beyond. And Datapacks is how you code in Minecraft, at least the Mojang approved way. I won't dive too heavily into Datapacks because there's a lot of tutorials online of how they work. All you need to know is that you can create custom advancements that trigger whenever you want and whenever the thing that you specified actually takes place. The advancement that we care about at this particular time is called inventory changed, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Anytime the inventory changes, it triggers. And now with that background, the bug report suddenly becomes very interesting because it states that anytime a non-player inventory is opened, it gets triggered twice. Okay, now we have a simple way of detecting if non-player inventories are opened. Now comes the part that everyone thought was not possible, and this is precisely what I found. Back to the inventory changed advancement trigger, it stops sending that if you are inside of an inventory. In this example data pack, there is an advancement for inventory changed, specifically when a stone button with custom data enters the inventory. As a reward for this advancement getting triggered, it runs the function or set of commands in menu. First, the commands revoke the advancement that was just given, so that way it can be re-triggered. Then, it sets a scoreboard to -1. That scoreboard will be very important. The main set of functions basically just detect when exactly it opens and closes, and the way it does that is every tick, in other words every 20th of a second, the scoreboard gets added by 1. The other thing that happens is that every player has a couple commands that are ran by them, and these commands basically replace the head slot of any player with the stone button. Then it replaces its head back to what it was before. Then, just in case, it clears the stone button that was placed in the head. This way the advancement gets triggered every single game tick, or it's supposed to be. And lastly, since it's replacing your head slot, it suppresses that sound. Basically what's happening is every single tick, the stone button gets placed on the player's head, it triggers that, it sets the value to -1, and then every tick it adds it by 1. So it's comparing 0. Because it's comparing 0, you're not in an inventory. But the moment that advancement stops triggering, it goes to 1, it realizes that you opened and are inside of an inventory. And finally, load sets up the prerequisites to have this work. It sets the scoreboard to dummy, basically meaning you could modify the value however you'd like. It revokes the advancement just in case you've reloaded the game in between an advancement running, which has happened. It summons the armor stand that it sets your head slot to temporarily, and then it force loads the chunk that the armor stand is in. Here's an example of it working. Every tick in main, you see it paste main. Then you see it say inventory changed anytime that advancement is triggered. You see every tick, both are being triggered. That is why it's every other. The moment I open this chest, only main. The inventory change advancement does not trigger, and this is very consistent. This happens every time I've opened it with multiple players on the server, and it works. The only weird behavior is when you're in creative mode, and that is when you're in creative mode, inside of your inventory, it'll run main and then inventory changed twice. For some reason, it gets triggered 2 different times, but if you close the inventory, it goes back to normal. So technically, there is a way to detect if you're in creative mode inventory. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, this does not work for survival mode. The only thing I find slightly annoying is if you're wearing armor, it will make the sound every tick, but if you take it off, it stops. Not a great solution, but this is only if you have the subtitles on. The actual sound is stopped and won't ever play. While I was recording this video, I realized that although we stop the sound, it still does trigger the warden and other sculk related things. There is a way to disable this in Datapacks, but it has to be done per version. And as a quick recap, the advancement inventory changed doesn't trigger while you are inside of an inventory. So how do you add this to your world? Well, those of you who are actually going to be needing this, aka building and using Datapacks, you guys can figure it out. Either you already know or there's other videos online. So I won't explain it too much here. All you need to know is it's very compatible with basically every other Datapack. I used Calum as a prefix for almost everything. I doubt that name will be in any of your Datapacks. And so before I go, I wanted to show off the 3 Datapacks that I showed in the beginning of the video that were impossible. The first one, as you mine, there's a 1 in 10 chance that a chest will spawn. And when it does, you can open it, claim whatever you want, and the moment you close it, it drops all the items on the ground. It's not super sophisticated, it's very, very simple. It was purely built as a example. So chest is here. If I spawn another one, the last one will basically disappear. The next Datapack I showed off, basically when you exit any lectern, a warden will spawn and it'll spawn a bunch of sculk on the ground. I have that book set so it immediately closes because there's no content inside. And the last Datapack was pretty interesting. It basically lets you fly while still being basically in a survival mode. It blocks you from being able to like pick, block, and do all that stuff. It just lets you fly up. And then if you were to say drop from here, and you turn off your fly mode, it wouldn't kill you. It would just basically protect you from fall damage as well. So there's nothing to worry about while in that mode. The thing that's interesting about it is if you open your inventory, it immediately force closes it by killing you and sending your spawn right there. Also, the example Datapacks I just showed you, as well as the open-close detection Datapack for almost every version, will be in the description in a Google Drive download. Oh, and there's one last thing. Why haven't you subscribed?